Mrs Sanchez talking about relationships. And this time, it's a topic that my dear husband was dying to talk about. At least you're proposing this topic so many times, and here we are talking about how cultural differences can actually impact relationships. So why you were dying to talk about this topic? What you were going to say to people?
Well, dying is a very strong way, to say it.
Like, see, cultural difference number one, the language.
The language.
The
language is a language.
The language.
Language is a cultural difference.
Yes, massively.
And can lead to can go to some misunderstandings.
Or it massively can. I remember the situation when we had a discussion. So I remember we were proposing to talk about something. We're like, okay, let's have a discussion about this. And remember your face, you were like, a discussion? Why would we have a discussion? And I was like, yeah, because it's nice to discuss this stuff. But you were like, discussion? No.
Yeah,
why?
Because discussion in Spanish or in Catalan, for example, discussion means an argument.
Right.
So when you say, let's have a discussion, I was like, why? Do you have any reason to have an argument here? And then we're like, no, let's discuss this. I don't want to discuss this. So that was one of the first times that I realized. I mean, language can be very tricky with this. So even in their own language, is something that can be tricky. Yeah. But also if you come from the people with different cultures and different ways of speaking the language, then it can get more tricky.
Absolutely, yes. I'll never remember the situation about this discussion, which to me was like just quite bizarre. Like, why you don't want to have a discussion? Of course, we got to discuss. You were like, what do you mean, of course? No, we shouldn't have a discussion. Yeah. I was like, that's really weird. What's wrong with him? Right, but it's just the difference in the wording, difference in the language, right?
Yeah, I think also especially I think it's. I guess every relationship is different, and every person reacts different. But if you're this is how are we looking ourselves in the camera, or
yes, that's how we look in the camera.
Okay. Now I feel much comfortable now. Sorry to interrupt. So no, but this is, for example, something that I think it's important to when you, for example, you make a joke, or you are doing, or so you make some ironic comment, or you just say something that in your way of understanding your language is kind of appropriate. Wow. And I remember some of our first argument came because of that, because of me making a comment. Yes. And you understanding the comment in one way. Yes. I was referring to that comment in a totally different way.
Yes.
And it was some kind of irony also, an ironic comment, so and so on. And you took it very badly, and I was thinking, why is she taking this so badly? Yeah. So I think one of the things that you have to manage when you are in a relationship with different, I mean, especially you come from different cultures, is to manage that language and to make sure that you don't create any misunderstanding or any moment of tension, which is not your intention, of course. But,
no, of course not.
But it's difficult. Sometimes it's difficult because you use the language in normal way. Also body language also.
Absolutely.
Also body language makes a difference because, for example, we are more expressive with our language, with our hands and so on. And some other people that they just are not, and you feel like, well, maybe she's upset or something. It's not.
Very true.
Or for example, social distance in some Nordic countries.
It's a norm.
It's a normal thing. For us, social distance was difficult to keep because we are more like
tactile.
Touchy. And we get closer when we have a conversation, and we don't mean to invade any kind of private space, but we are just we are close.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
It's close.
Yeah, very close. Well, and I think in our case, it's quite tricky because we both are well-traveled and we both are so international within ourselves. So even though I came from Latvia, but I'm Russian and my background is also Belarusian and Polish. So I have like multicultural background already within myself, same as you have, right? You lived in Andorra, you lived in USA, you were born in Spain, and you travel around the world. So I guess we just adapted and adopted so many cultural differences within ourselves that actually we are just kind of shaping each other and ourselves even more when we're in relationships.
Yeah, but one thing is, for example, when you are traveling,
and
you are going to meetings and business meetings or even personal meetings, there is a certain way of understanding how you're going to behave, what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And that cultural difference is not that much obvious because there's kind of a standard way of situation.
Yeah.
But when you are in a relationship with someone, you don't have any standards of this.
No.
So you just are yourself. It's yourself, you know, that you are then. And then it's more complicated because you don't have this framework of the business meeting or of how to behave in an airport or how to behave in a hotel. You don't have this with your partner. You just are yourself there and you throw yourself there. And then some things that for you are normal, maybe for other people are not that normal. So I think one of the things that you learn when you travel basically is to understand that what is normal, what is nice for you, what is kind of like a real normal situation. For other people it can be totally different.
Absolutely, yes. And that's why I think it's quite important to always consider when you're with somebody in a relationship who is not from your culture, not from your country, not from whatever other your background, that there are stuff which you have to learn about each other. Because think about it, we already enter relationships having family backgrounds which are totally different, right? We never have the same family backgrounds. And when you add to family backgrounds also cultural differences, it makes a relationship richer, but also can make relationships sometimes quite challenging, right? If you don't know how to deal with that. So how do we deal with our cultural differences?
I think one of the most important ways to do that is by observing the other person.
Yes.
I think you need to observe the other person in different situations.
Yeah.
Like when this person is, buying in a supermarket or going out for a drink, or checking in a reception of a hotel, or talking to a hostess in a plane. Yes. I think if you observe that and you pay attention to the details, then you understand much more what is the feeling of the situation of this, no? And also to be able to I think you need to be able to understand that person comes from a different background. Yes. Not only from a different country, but also from a different background, whatever is socially, economically, whatever. So you have to. I think the best recipe for this is to observe.
Yes.
To observe, to pay attention to the details, to don't get like, oh wow, surprised, or like, oh, she likes this kind of stuff. It's like, okay, well, yeah, maybe it's normal in their country. So, I remember, for example, when I told you let's go for dinner, and you were like, okay, what time? I said 9:30. You look at me like,
what?
When you mean 9:30? I said, well, maybe 10. And you look at me, no. I'm talking about, why don't we go at 7? And we were like, I'm sorry, I'm 7. We don't go for dinner in Spain. We don't go for dinner at 7. We go for dinner minimum 9.
At 9, I'm gone from the dinner. Like, I'm finishing my dinner, I'm finishing my cup of tea, and I'm ready to pay. That's it. I'm sorry, we are going, right? So that was really, we had to really adjust. And I think we started like going for dinner like 8 o'clock. And I think 8 is like our average, unless we have some activities and some things. So like yesterday, we finished our activity quite late. So we had our dinner at like, 9:30? Which again was like, oh my God, that's so late, right? But I think it's just about accepting that, right? It's just, you don't have to obviously be walked over by somebody who says, no, this is how we do it in my family, in my culture, this is how we're supposed to do it, right? Have a discussion, have, not an argument, right? Not an argument.
A conversation.
A conversation.
Have a conversation.
Exactly. Have a conversation, what will work for both of you, right? And find a compromise in between. And you're right, like, for example, observe. Like, I, for example, observed that you literally have olive oil with everything. Sometimes I think many people even drink olive oil instead of coffee, right? Because being Spanish, olive oil goes everywhere. And to me, it's like, whoa, that's a bit too much olive oil. No, can we just have separate salad bowls, please? So you can have your olive oil with salad, and I'll have just my salad.
Which is another point, which is about sharing food.
Oh yes, that's a big one.
People, for example, we like to share food, and we like to eat everyone from the same plate. I mean.
Well, that means that you go to the same plate. We just nibble from that plate, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just that you have a plate in the middle and you share it. It's like something like, I mean, somebody people call tapas, but in reality, it's a way of eating. You just have something in the middle and we share food. And I remember many years ago, I was trying to share food with a friend of mine from Scotland, and he looked at me like, what are you doing?
This is my food.
This is my food. Don't even think about touching my fries. And I was like, okay. So that was with a colleague, that was a friend, no problem. But when your partner, for example, one of the especially at the beginning, you have to be careful because people can understand that maybe you are unpolite and you are.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you need to ask this kind of question. Do you mind? Are you okay if we share this? Are you okay if? And then if you pay attention, then or let the other person say it, or do you say like, do you want me to serve?
Yeah.
And then it can help, because these kind of situations, they are not a problem until they become a problem.
Exactly, yes, because sometimes people will not say it once, not say it twice, not say it 3 times, but then they will just get angry at something else, which is not even the reason of the argument, right? But because they were having a build-up of all these situations of why you were touching my food. It's so simple, so basic, but actually it can make somebody mad. Thankfully, we're sharing food with no problem. That is totally fine. I'm not actually
not olive oil though.
Not olive oil. No, I don't drink olive oil in the quantities as you drink.
Well, I don't drink olive oil, but I like to have.
It looks like you are.
I like to have olive oil in my salad, in my bread. Yeah, it's something very, very Mediterranean, I would say. Not Mediterranean, and we don't use usually butter, or we don't use any other thing.
We use butter, so cheese, right? And I remember even Nick, my son, he actually, when we had a breakfast for the first time together, and you took bread, just like toasted bread, and you put some olive oil, and he looked at you like, "What's that?" Right?
Are you planning to eat that thing? With no cheese, nothing, just
nothing. Exactly. So yeah, it's really interesting. I think not to keep it too long for today, let's just leave it here, because I think there were a couple of situations shared which people can think to themselves and ask themselves, well, maybe we also have that in our relationships, right? How can we actually deal with that? By observing, right? By having a conversation, not argument, right? Have a discussion about how actually you could find the middle grounds, right? And anything else you would like to add?
No, I think observation is the key. I think you have to observe the details, and then you need to be flexible. You need to adjust, and you need to be aware that you need to do things in different ways, which is it's not. And also at the end of the day, we are talking about, as I said, very small details that they can make a big difference, actually.
Absolutely.
So I think that's the main message, is that, okay, let's be careful with the small details, because they can make a big difference, and they can help you through your relationship or through your connection, and I think that's also very important, that you are able to read that. Also because you feel better. For example, when you said, for example, I don't know, you can just have your bread with olive oil, and I will not have it, but you can have it,
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like you feel. I mean, I think you need to try to embrace these situations. It's otherwise it can become a problem, which is totally stupid. But it can become a problem, because especially if you are not flexible enough on this, and also you don't need to be picky, because if you are picky, then you have a problem.
It becomes quite difficult. Yes, absolutely. Well, we have so many more situations to share, so bear with us. Okay, we will come back definitely next weekend, the weekend after, talking about the same topic. But so far, it really enriched our lives so much, because we learned so much about each other cultures, not only about each other cultures, but also about the cultures around the world, right? Because we travel a lot, and every single country has something new, right, to us. And sometimes you know more, sometimes I know more. So we learn so much. So don't get afraid by different cultures. Don't get afraid by being, multicultural in your relationships. Embrace it and enjoy that.
Yeah, and I just one last thing, and I think it's very important not to have stereotypes of cliché.
Yes.
Because the stereotypes of clichés, I mean, they usually are not right. They don't work.
No.
And they are not for real. So and I had many of them. And when you start moving and traveling and meeting, especially meeting other people, you realize that most of your clichés were not right.
Yeah.
And they were not to the point. And there is a big difference between what you think, or when you are thinking you're gonna find, and when you in reality what you find. So I think to especially if you are having a relationship with someone which is from another culture, another country, I think clichés are something that you need to avoid, because if you don't avoid them, then you're really gonna struggle with this.
Absolutely, yeah, because your own stereotypes can be a barrier and a little and a big massive block on the way of having fulfilling relationships, right? Because you're going to compare your partner to what you believe, what you assume, and what we assume is never true, right? It's just based on one or two or three observations of some people from that particular culture, country, or whatever region, right? And that obviously can ruin many things. I like the comment from Maria. She's watching us, I guess, on LinkedIn. By the way, do let us know where you're watching us from. Maria says, loved it, made me laugh and think of many other, I guess, the situations.
I'm sure.
Because Maria, she's from Portugal. I think, Maria, are you from Portugal? Let us know where you're
with the
from.
last name Guimarães, that's Portugal for sure.
Yeah. And let us know where exactly you're from Portugal, because right now we're in Porto, which is a beautiful place. So I wonder how close Maria was originally from.
I think she's from. I think she's from the south, but anyway,
let's hear from Maria. Yeah, and she says, so true and can impact so much. That is very, very true. That's why we have to be really delicate, like you're saying, hyper mega delicate.
Hyper mega delicate, exactly.
Hyper mega delicate with what we assume, right? What we think we know. Observe, as you said, right? And really have a conversation about what will work for both of you. You never have to push the way how you like. You never have to be pushed the way how it's, what was done by other partner.
Yeah.
But you got to find your middle grounds, right?
Yeah.
And being flexible, as you also mentioned, that's very important.
Yeah. I think that's it. And then also there are many small situations during the days that they can bring. So sometimes you have to think, okay, this is the way it is. Yeah. Sometimes it's like, why don't we try this way? And if in let's say stressful situations is when these different cultures came up really to the surface really quick, because it's how you deal with problems or how you deal with the stress in different ways. So I think this is something that maybe we can talk in another time.
Yes, there's so many topics we want to cover, but if you have any questions, if you have any situations you would like to bring to us so we can talk about them, please message me, okay? You can click on the Facebook or LinkedIn, you can message me. You also can message Manel, and obviously we will bring them to here, so actually you can learn more. But thank you so much, those who are watching us. Actually, we have Saika from Glasgow. Maria has lived there for 30 years. I guess that was in Portugal somewhere. I can't move the comments. She lived in Portugal, I guess, for 30 years. Yeah. Exciting. But anyways, thank you so much, those who join us. Thank you so much for your comments, and we wish you a wonderful weekend, whatever you do. We're going to have some extra time in Porto. We'll go explore a little bit more, and then we'll see you next weekend.
Under the heat, because it's really hot in Porto.
I know, it's really hot, right? Anyways, thank you so much for watching.